Hello and welcome to Greeting Star. Today I have a beautiful Christmas card for you, but first I wanted to tell you about an ebook that I wrote. It's available on Amazon. It's called Illustrated Card Making for Beginners. It's a great, it's an ebook and it's a great makes a great Christmas gift. Also, it's good for beginners as well as experienced card makers. There's a lot of great card making ideas inside of it. So this is the card we're going to be making today. You can't really see it from the image there, but it has kind of a shiny, shimmery look. I'm using some metallic gelatos to get the color on the card there in the background. Here are some of the supplies that you're going to need, and those will be linked down in the description below. This is just a stencil from a recollections kit from Michaels, that craft star. And this is just a 4.5 by or 4.25 by 5.5 piece of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to run that through my Cuttlebug. First, I'm going to tape it down with some of this 3M Post-it tape. I'm going to run it through my Cuttlebug with one of those foam pieces of foam so that it will dry emboss on this particular piece of paper. And then I'm going to be using this Hero Arts stamp and cut set. It's a cute little elf that I'm going to use, and you can see here it's the DC, I think that's 180. It's hard for me to see. But anyway, I'll link that down in the description below. So I'm just going to color this for you and show you how I do that. There's 3 different little elves on there that's really cute. So these are the metallic gelatos that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm going to use the, it looks kind of orangish there, and then the green, and then also a gold champagne. I'll pull that out a little bit later. But this is the mint green, I believe. I believe that's what that is. And this one is the... I can't see it on there. And that's the gold champagne. So those 3 are what I'm going to use. The gold champagne is going to be for the elf's hair, and the other is going to be for his clothing. And I'll also pull in some watercolor markers, the Zig Clean Color later for some other parts of the elf, his skin. So this is that foam mat that I was talking about. So you can see here that once you run it through the Cuttlebug, it leaves an impression, an embossed raised edge on that paper there. So what I do is, if you have a Cuttlebug, the sandwich you use is you put your A plate down, and then you put your stencil down and your paper on top of it. Then you put your foam mat down, and then you use 2 B plates on top of that. And depending on your Cuttlebug, you might need an extra shim, like a cardboard shim or something. Just give it a try with yours and see what you need. Now, I don't have any of the other machines, embossing machines or die cutting machines, so that's the one that I use. So these are some brushes that I purchased at Walmart. They're actually for makeup, but I think they work really great. So you can see here I'm picking up some of that red gelato there on the brush, and then I'm just going to rub it onto my paper here through the stencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a red green pattern. So I'm skipping lines here to color in all the red ones, and then I'll go back and do the green ones. And since the lines run diagonal one way and then they cross each other and intersect the other, I'm going to do both sides, and I'm just going to play some music for you here while you guys watch me do this. Okay, so now that we've got the lines done, I'm going to use another brush. This one's a little bit larger than the others because I'm going to be coloring in those squares there with the gold color, that gold champagne. And I'm just using this paper again as a mask to cover up any areas that I don't want that gold paint on. And I'm just being careful not to get the gold paint into the red or the green paint that I've already applied to the paper there. So just go ahead and enjoy the music while I do this. Okay, so now it's time for the big reveal. You can take a look and see once the stencil is removed here, the finished product. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the metallic gelatos do give a real nice shimmery shine to this background, which makes it perfect for Christmas. So what I'm going to do is I'll be trimming off the edges here so that I can use that gold foil paper to create a border on either side. And I'm just using this, this is a Fiskars Sure Cut paper trimmer, and you can see exactly where the paper trimmer is going to cut because there's that metal wire between the ruler there. So this is the gold foil that I was talking about. I'm going to trim it down to create just 2 small strips of paper that I'm going to adhere to either side of the base of my card to create a border on each side. And you can see that this is a piece of scrap gold foil that I had left over. Some of it's kind of marred, and if that bothers you, one of the things you can do is use some kind of a texture to add some texture to it, so then it'll look like it was made to do that. I didn't bother with that, but you can certainly do that. And you can find texture in all kinds of products and such. Sometimes when you buy something at the grocery store, the container it will come in will have texture on it. So just rub that over it and you can create some texture on it. It's pretty cool actually. So now you can see here I'm going to use this Tim Holtz stamping platform to add some, you know, to stamp my little elf here. This is Ranger archival ink, so that when you color it with water it won't run. It's a waterproof ink. because that's what I'm going to do with my gelatos. I'm going to use some water to pick it up on the brush and then paint this little image of this elf. And what's neat about these stamping platforms, which I've mentioned before, is that when you stamp it once, if you don't get a good impression, you can stamp it again and get it exactly aligned so there aren't any blurred lines or ugly images. So this makes it perfect. So once I've got that done, I'll go ahead and start coloring it. You can see that I've cleaned off my glass media mat here. This is the Tim Holtz glass media mat, which I love. It's so easy to clean up, and you can do so many different things on this glass. Cutting, painting, all kinds of stuff. It's wonderful. I just love these two colors. They're so beautiful, I think, the way they go together. And they're, you know, not the traditional bright red and green, but I think they're beautiful together. And that gold there just gives the perfect little sort of highlight. So this is a number 2 brush. I'm going to use 2 of those, one for the red, one for the green. And then, so you can see both of these are size 2. And this one here is size 10, I think. I'm not an artist, so I'm not a painter, so I don't know how to read those sizes on the brushes. So anyway, here goes with the red. I'm just going to color the cap and the shoes red. So I'll play some music for you while you're watching me color. Okay, so now that I'm done coloring his clothing, we're going to move on to his skin. So here are those Zig Clean color markers. These are watercolor markers, and you can use them just straight on the paper, or you can also use them with some water if you'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out like a flesh color, a peach color here. It is actually called flesh color. If you wanted to, you could also use a very light pink as well for his skin. But I'm just going to use this flesh color, and I'm only going to go around the edges of his face, and I'll bring in a paintbrush with some water to sort of blend that out, and that'll lighten it up a little bit. But I'm only going to use the water on his face because the other two areas here, his ears and his hands, are just too tiny. So I'm just going to go ahead and color it with a marker here. Okay, so now you can see I'm going to color the belt here, and I'm using my Sakura glaze pen to do this in a black ink. And these pens, when they dry, the ink has a real shiny effect, so it's going to look like a patent leather belt, and with his buttons here. And I'll also go ahead and color his eyes too, because when I painted over them, it kind of dulled that ink that had been stamped there. So this just makes his eyes kind of a little brighter. So you can see he's really cute. And now for the ends, that's going to be black too. When I do the buckle here, that's going to be a silver color, which you can see from the cap. So now the card's finished as far as all of the coloring, and I'm going to use this Hero Art stamp set. It's called Mary Stamp and Cut set, and you can see that you can use the word die cut Mary and the stamp Christmas here to add the sentiment. I'm going to use this piece of paper to stamp the Christmas word, and this is from the Coordinations cardstock called Bountiful Harvest. You can see it's kind of the craft colored cardstock, and this is just an anti-static powder tool that I'm using here because I'm going to heat emboss this Christmas word on my paper. So I'm using this Versamark ink pad here. You can see that it's like a clear ink, but it's real sticky, so that when I add my white embossing powder, this is Judican's white opaque embossing powder, I can go ahead and heat emboss that with my heat gun. So this is how I add it right here. Be sure to shake off any excess. And that anti-static tool that I used, it just helps keep that embossing powder off of the page, only on the areas where you stamped. So it's nice and neat. Make sure my heat gun is hot enough, and then I'm just going to set this embossing powder here. I think it's so magic the way it changes to a bright color. So now I'm just going to trim this up with my paper trimmer, and we'll adhere it to the card along with that cute little elf, and we'll be all finished. I think it's a cute little card. I really like it. I think my favorite part of crafting these Christmas cards is seeing the end result and seeing it all come together. It's a lot of fun along the way too. I really do enjoy creating and making things. And I always tend to, I have a general idea of what I want to do, but I kind of like playing. I think playing with art is the most rewarding part of crafting. So I'm going to use some wet glue. This is the Tombow Multi Mono glue. and I just adhered all of those elements to the front of my card. Now my other little elf wasn't dry, so I just grabbed a little girl elf that I had finished before. Do you see this cute little, it looks like a pom-pom, but it's not. It's actually it comes from a marker. It's the Marvi Uchida Snow Marker, and it's kind of like a paint pen, and so it comes out kind of like a liquid, and what you do is you use a heat tool to dry it, and when it dries it puffs up. It's really, really cool. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget to check out my blog at greetingstar.org, and also my ebook at amazon.com/author/greetingstar. And also please like and subscribe to my channel. And you can take a look here at my Illustrated Card Making for Beginners ebook. It's on Amazon again at amazon.com/author/greetingstar. Thanks so much and have a great day.